Hi there, Steve Kaufman here. I'm going to talk a bit today about language learning and the iPad. I don't know where I put it, it's over there. Because I'm committed to making a speech here in a local library about language learning in the age of the iPad, and I will be doing the same in Europe. So I've been sort of doing a bit of reading, collecting my thoughts, and I would like to get your input. I think what I'm going to say basically is that the iPad, and I don't want to promote one company's product, but it's kind of the sort of most widely recognized brand name for a new phenomenon, which is these electronic tablets that are going to enable us to have really a very powerful computer at our fingertips that theoretically can be connected at all times to the world, to other people, other people's ideas, other sources of information. And personally, I think the iPad, in that sense, as an electronic tablet, is absolutely revolutionary. And I have been using my iPad more and more for a variety of things, including language learning, but also for reading. And the other day, I decided that I wanted to read a book called The Rational Optimist. I had heard about the book. I didn't know quite what the name was. I just went to Amazon on my iPad. I searched for Optimist, and up came The Rational Optimist by Matt Ridley. I immediately bought the book for $7 and read it on the sort of Kindle application on my iPad. And so within a day or two, I had the book and I had read it. It's just an example of the kind of world we are living in. One of the criticisms of the internet and constant connectivity is that we are always prone to jump from hyperlink to hyperlink and not really engross ourselves in any one subject. I think any tool, you can use it however you want. People flip channels, people flip through books. Some people never read books, they read magazines. If you want to read a book, it has become much more convenient to do it now, because any book you think of, you can buy it right away and start reading it. Now, Matt Ridley's book, The Rational Optimist, I bought it because there's a fellow called Friedemann who keeps on commenting on my blog about how the world is headed for disaster, and if we don't do something, we'll run out of resources, and global warming is going to be so damaging. And he just goes on with this doomsday scenario, and I'm tired of listening to him. I try to point out that every similar prediction of doom and gloom in the past has proven to be inaccurate. And I was aware that there was a book that described this in greater detail. So I got a hold of the book. Very interesting book. I very much recommend that you read it. The basic theme of the book is that it has been the sort of constantly accelerating exchange of goods, but even more than goods, of ideas. And particularly in an environment not of exchanging like for like, but where some people are specialized in some product or some technology or some ideas, and other people are specialized in others, and they exchange these. And therefore, they dramatically increase the range of products and ideas that are available to them. And this has been accelerating. And Ridley traces through a very interesting sort of summary of world history and different civilizations and periods of growth in civilization and periods of decline. And typically the decline was caused by an excess of government intervention and regulation and other measures that prevented or discouraged people from exchanging goods and ideas. And the greater the freedom of exchange and the greater the freedom of expression, the better off we all become. And there is this sort of random, unorganized, undirected, spontaneous, bottom-up activity by human beings connected with other human beings. And the larger the community, the more rapidly we come up with new ideas, new solutions to problems, and so forth. And today, in order to progress, we need a collaborative brain, collaborative knowledge, collective brain, I think he talks about it. And wherever a community had enjoyed this kind of interaction and then was isolated from the rest of the world, they tended to stagnate. They tended to lose skills that they had because there were fewer and fewer people with these specialized skills. And as a result, Ridley points out that since 1970, the world's cereal harvest has more than doubled on the same land base. And therefore, if that had not happened, either we wouldn't have as many people alive today, and of course, I don't have the number, but I think the population has probably doubled during that time as well. We would have had to use twice as much land in order to grow the same amount of food, assuming that that was even possible. It's also true that, according to D. Lal, who must be an Indian writer, that the consumption of the poor has grown over the last 20 years, twice as fast as the world average. There has, according to the United Nations, there's a decline in world poverty, so that we are, more and more of us, living better and better. Pollution, I mean, a car traveling at normal speed apparently pollutes less than a car parked somewhere in 1970 would pollute just through leakage. So apparently everything has gone down in cost, with the exception of health and education. And if we look at the United States, the cost of educating someone from kindergarten to grade 12 after inflation has increased by 350% since 1970. Yet the incarceration rate in the United States has increased 700%. And educational outcomes are at best the same or worse. So we're spending 3.5 times as much money for poorer outcomes. Why is this? Might it have something to do with our education system, with the classroom, with the authoritarian, top-down, isolated, protectionist environment where we have credentials and curricula, and we limit the contact between, like the lateral contact amongst learners. Teachers are very resentful, I can tell from my own experience with Link, very resentful of any outsider trying to get involved in education with new ideas. So they're very much like these isolated communities like Tasmania, where skills decline. To my mind, the iPad represents a new paradigm. If the school system is like a traffic light, stop, go, red light, green light, the iPad is like the roundabout where people make their own decisions and people learn for themselves in an environment of lifelong learning. They connect with other learners. They connect with other people with whom they can exchange, as we do at Link, exchange my language for your language. And not just at Link, by the way, at a multiplicity of websites on the internet. I mean, how can we compare the creativity of people developing educational apps for the iPad versus the textbooks and the institutionalized curricula we have in schools? With the iPad as a symbol, we now can customize to individual needs and requirements. And the teacher's not out of the equation, because the teacher, if he gets out of the schoolroom, can actually access far more people, not just the K-12, but all the people who want to learn. The teacher can be a source of motivation, encouragement, encouraging people to get active. Because what we need to measure is how active people are in their learning, not necessarily measure them against some arbitrary grammar test in the case of language learning. So, in summary, because I'm running out of time here, we are safer, richer, healthier, living longer than any time before. If things have improved so dramatically in the last little while, why be so pessimistic about the future? We need to recognize that all the dire predictions of running out of this, that, and the other have never turned out to be true, because mankind is innovative, and you can't extrapolate the past into the future. And let's take that same creativity and exchange and innovative attitude into education, into, and in particular, language education. So I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on the ramble you just heard.